What was the most challenging skill set for you to acquire in order to get to the position you're at today?
Oh man, it just goes back to more of that getting out of your comfort zone. It was so funny. So Mark did a meathead millionaire like meetup or something. So
Sounds like, yeah.
yeah. So it was Mark and his wife, and then it was Jason Khalipa and his wife. It was golly, there's so many. Just oh my gosh, Dana Lynn Bailey and her husband. So like a bunch of high level couples like that.
The inn.
Just all come together just to hang out, and people are like, so Mark, like, why'd you call us all here? And he's like, we have a lot to learn from each other, right? So, and it was cool because, like, me being a photographer, I get to sit in this room with all these freaking high level people, and I just snap pictures, like, cool. Something came up where I was like, I have something to say about this. I don't think I should though, because I'm just supposed to take pictures, and these are all multimillionaires running crazy elite businesses, and I'm a photographer getting paid not even like nothing compared to what they make. I'm like, oh my God, but I have something very important to say. And it was in regards to dealing with or having a bad employee in your circle of people, and kind of like how to deal with that or whatever. And I did have something to say on it. And I stood up and I said it. And I remember after that, Mark on a podcast was explaining how one of the most epic things that happened didn't even happen from any of the people that was there. He's like, Andrew stood up and said something that totally floored Hayden Bowe. Hayden's eyes were just like, holy shit. And I can tell you guys what it was after. But Mark was like, I know the person that came into super training would have shit his pants if he tried to do that. But here is Andrew speaking in front of all these people with some actual value to give to them. Holy crap, that's amazing.
After how much time from entering super train to now, approximately?
I would say probably like 3 years. I'm really bad at time framing stuff.
Great. Just for my own. What was it? What was said?
Okay, sure. It was just in regards to a bad employee, and so all I said was, I already said his name, so it's okay. Was when you have somebody like that in your, in your business, like sure you think, oh, this is just the one bad employee, like, but it's kind of like a cancer, because now the good employee has to deal with that bad employee. That bad employee ruins their day. They have a bad day. Now they got to deal with somebody else that's also having a bad day.
Right.
I was like, so that cancer is going to spread. So while you think it's, I just got this one bad apple, like, no, you don't. You have a much bigger problem there.
Sure.
Because at the time we had somebody, and I told them straight up, I'm like, if I see this person, I go the opposite way, even if it's totally like goes against where I'm actually trying to get to, or I literally will just like dread walking into the office if I see this person.
Sure.
And that's when he was just like, oh shit, I didn't even consider that, because he's like up here just dealing with the like CEO shit, right? And he's not thinking like, damn. So hopefully that all got resorted, but or sorted out. But it was just crazy being able to have some value in that arena, right? In that room full of these killers, I have something to say, because like I said, they're up here and I'm down here like in the trenches with people.
Sure.
So to get back to your question, was it's getting out of that comfort zone and, really putting yourself out there and being comfortable with that. Jumping on a plane to come do a podcast, by yourself, when you're used to having two co-hosts that are going to kind of ride the ship, and I just kind of jump in every once in a while, to being okay with like, oh, they're going to ask me a bunch of like deep questions. I got to be ready for this, or, you know what I mean? Like, putting yourself out there and getting good with navigating that, right? Because you could put yourself out there and fall flat on your face, which, it's going to happen.
Absolutely.
But can you get back up, and can you understand where you messed up? And then also, like I said, just navigating that, kind of rolling with the punches sometimes, that sort of thing. Yeah.
And the worst they can usually say is no. If there is a situation, I mean, to your point about the employee, I mean, that's a much more in-depth thing. They could say more than that. That's a really outside of your comfort zone thing to speak up in front of people that are, ahead of you, and whatever. Success in business is a tough one. That's a big one, because that's an area for me still where I still get kind of butterflies. I mean, if I have somebody who's coming on here and I know for a fact this person is far ahead of me in these categories.
yeah.
It gets to a point where you have to get comfortable being around people who are ahead of you. And it really is rewarding, I've found, in this particular setting, in a podcast, because like you, I love learning from new people. I love being around people that are ahead of me, that are succeeding in something that I'm not, because I never really saw this happening, because you don't know until you actually host a podcast or start really doing this. Every single person that sits across from me teaches me something I didn't know about themselves, about the business, about myself, anything. It's just the quickest, and it's the quickest way I have found to actually learn is just from being around. I totally get why Mark did something like that. Like, we have a lot to learn from each other.
Yeah.
And one of the things I really liked about the Power Project, and when you were on it, Mark made a point of saying this, is like, we like to reach out to the younger generation, the up and comings, like him, Jimmy House, all those different guys that are coming up the ladder. And I think that's really unique that the podcast does that, because I don't think a lot of people think about that, bringing up the next generation.
100%.
It's important to raise their voice and to give them a platform, because, they're next up, really. And that's so cool.